Hello, let's go over our notes over 5.5a. It's about intercepts and standard forms of a line. So just a quick refresher on slope-intercept form. When an equation has the y on one side all by itself, this is called slope-intercept form because this m value right here is always the slope and the b value is the y-intercept. So again, the number that's attached to the x is your slope of your line, and the other number that doesn't have the variable is your y-intercept. So there's more than one form of a line. So this is slope-intercept, but we could also put lines into standard form. And standard form is really just a proper way to state a linear equation. Like, I'm a big fan of this form because I can look at this equation and say, oh, well, here's my slope and here's my y-intercept. So I can get some useful information from it. But this one is really just a formal way of writing your answers. All right, so in this standard form equation, 15x minus 5y is equal to 30, they want us to be able to tell what number is in place of A, what's in place of B, and what's in place of C. So you can see this is in standard form. Standard form is the x plus the y equals c. X plus y equals c. So the A value, the number in front of the x, is 15. The B value, that's the number in front of the y. Be careful about this because see how it has a minus? That means that that 5 is actually negative. It's the same thing as plus negative 5y. And then it's equal to the constant, which means it's a plain number without a variable. So C is 30. Those are easy test questions, just identifying A, B, and C. The only thing you have to be careful about is your signs. Right, so when we have standard form, we can use what we call the cover-up method to identify the x and the y intercepts. So remember, if a point is on the x-axis, this point would be over however many, but it's up 0. Anytime you have an x-intercept, the y value has to be 0. So when we say the cover-up method, really what we're saying is, if I was going to find the x-intercept, I know that y has to be 0. So cover up literally just means cover this up, get rid of it. I would just have 15x is equal to 30. Now if I'm looking at this and I ask you, hey, if 15x is equal to 30, can you figure out what x is? Of course you can. If you divide each side by 15, x is 2. By the way, that was coincidental that I made that up. I did not realize I was actually talking about the x-intercept already. All right, so what we found was x, the x value, when y is 0, because we got rid of it, and that's your x-intercept. Now your y-intercept is going to be the opposite. Y-intercepts are here on the y-axis, and that means you don't go over any to the right or over any to the left. So on a y-intercept, this time your x is what you cover up. Your x is 0. Now don't drop this minus sign. This minus sign belongs to the 5. So if you covered up the x, you would have this. Negative 5y is equal to 30. And if you were going to get that y by itself, all you have to do is divide each side by negative 5 and figure out that y is negative 6. So we just figured out that when x is 0, y is negative 6. So you try. See if you can use the cover-up method to solve for x and then solve for y. You might want to pause the video if you want to try it by yourself. The x-intercept means the y is gone, and the y-intercept means the x is gone, because those both turn into zeros. So real easy to solve. In the first case, the x-intercept, negative 12 divided by negative 2, that's just 6. Over here to find the y-intercept, negative 12 divided by 6, negative 2. All right. You can use the intercepts to find the slope of the line. So when you know 2 points on your line, like you had 6, 0 with 0, negative 2, Now you've got 2 points in a table, and you could look at it and say, oh, from 0 to -2, that went down 2 units. From 6 to 0, that went down 6 units. You know that your slope is the difference in the y's over the difference in the x. This is the difference in the y's, -2. The difference in the x is -6. So I know that for this line, every time it goes down 2, it goes over 6. But I would reduce that. -2 over -6. First thing, a negative divided by a negative, my slope is positive because those negatives cancel one another out. 2 divided by 6, well, that reduces to positive 1 over 3. So my slope is 1/3. All right, turn that page over. So, if you have this equation that's in standard form, 3x minus 2y equals -6, could you find the x and the y-intercept? Could you plot those, connect the dots to graph it, and then find the slope? And I think, of course you can. So your x-intercept, remember that means the y is a 0, so you just cover that up and you would have 3x equals -6. If 3x is equal to -6, then you guys know that x is -2. So my x-intercept is at -2, 0. Let's go ahead and plot that. -2, 0. Make sure your x-intercept is on your x-axis. A lot of people get those backwards somehow. Y-intercept. For the y-intercept, cover up the x. Don't drop this negative right here. That belongs to the 2. This is -2y is equal to -6. And when you solve this for y, the -6 divided by -2 makes a +3. So your y-intercept is at +3. So over 0 and up 3. So here is your line. Once again, I don't have my ruler, so my trusty notebook that's always next to me. Here's my line. Sorry about that. And what is the slope of my graph? It would be real easy to use the 2 points I've already identified. So I can see my graph is going upward. I know my slope is positive, and it looks like every time it goes up 1, 2, 3, it goes over 2. So my slope is up 3 and over 2, which means the slope is 3 over 2. Finally, write the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, remember, is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So my equation of this line in slope-intercept form, y equals the slope times x plus the y-intercept. All right, sorry I ran that off the video. You try one, okay? If you want to pause the video for a second, feel free to. Here's your equation. To find the x-intercept, you're turning the y into a 0, so this is all gone. If -5x is equal to 10, then when I solve this for x, x is -2. So my x-intercept is happening at -2. That seems like a popular answer. My y-intercept, this time the x would be 0, so 2y equals 10, which means y must be 5. So the y-intercept at +5 is here. Connect those 2 points. You got kind of a steep line. There's your line. What is the slope? Again, I would use, the 2 points I've already identified, and it looks like from here to here, again, it's going up, so it's positive, and it's going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2, so my slope is up 5 over 2. Here's your y-intercept, the +5. So the equation of this line, y is equal to mx plus b. All right. Can you to it kind of backward, I guess, so to say. If they're backward, I have the line, but I can look at it and it asks me where the x-intercept is. Well, it's crossing the x-axis right here at +2. Where's the y-intercept? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, +5. By the way, make sure you're putting these in the right places. If it's the x-intercept, the number that is not 0 goes where x is. If it's the y-intercept, the number that is not the 0 goes where the y is. Okay, then use that to find the slope. See how this one's going downward? I know that my slope is going to be negative, and it looks like it's going down 5. Wow, that was really crooked. Down 5 over 2. So my slope is -5 over 2. My y-intercept is 5, so if this is m and this is b, my equation is y is equal to -5/2 x plus 5. Again, pause if you need to pause if you want to try this on your own, but same thing here. This one is crossing the x-axis at -2. It's crossing the y-axis at +1. The line is going up, so the slope is positive. It's going up 1 over 2, so +1/2. The equation, here is my m, here is my b. Y is equal to 1/2 x plus 1. All right, you guys get going on your assignment.